What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy Faluca reporting back with Frank T. We're continuing our discussion. In the last we were on, we were talking about Brock Lesnar's return. Frank mentioned that he felt that Brock Lesnar coming back was a good thing and that it would probably take place after the Royal Rumble. Is that right, Frank?
Yes, and Elimination Chamber. That'll probably be the main event between him and whoever wins with Cena and Orton.
Well,
You think maybe Cena might take the belt?
absolutely, absolutely. I do not see Randy Orton going up against Brock because the WWE is all about size, and in their opinion, I don't think Randy Orton belongs in there with Brock. Even though Punk is a lot smaller than Orton, and he put up a great fight against Brock Lesnar. But I don't see Brock Lesnar fighting Randy Orton. I just don't see it happening. But what I did want to touch on is this. I believe, because I've been watching wrestling since I'm 3. I'm gonna be 24 this year, so it's a long time for me to be watching. I actually shook hands with the Undertaker when I was 3. I got a picture up in my office of how close I got to the guy. I mean, I'll never forget that moment if I live to be 100.
How big is he in person?
Oh my God, to say larger than life is kind of cliche, but the guy, he just has a presence. He has a presence that no one else can match. And when I met Howard Finkel in the summer, he said I could only compare the Undertaker's presence to Andre.
Right.
So and Howard, he's very on point because he's the oldest employee of WWE. But getting back to the subject, in my opinion,
Formaldehyde?
excuse me.
Did you smell formaldehyde when you met the Undertaker?
Yeah, formaldehyde. Good old Gorilla Monsoon. But in my opinion, the part-time wrestlers getting title shots, to me, it hurts the product in the long run, and it hurts the locker room. And I'll explain why. When The Rock first came back in 2011 and became the host of WrestleMania, I had no problem with that. And I had a feeling that he would gear up for a match with John Cena that I actually wanted to happen. However, the guy showed up WrestleMania 27, took up 10-15 minutes of the first bit of the show that should have been for Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. The match never even got to happen. That's number one. Number two, he wrestled one match before he went to the main event of WrestleMania. Now, this is the way I see it. If a legend is going to come back for a WrestleMania show, I got no problem with them wrestling a match. The Rock has earned the right to have one match a year. He ain't earned the right to be in the main event. And that's where I stand. Same goes for The Undertaker. And here you go, just so you can see on the screen, I have The Undertaker symbol embroiled into my flesh. I worship the ground The Undertaker walks on. But there ain't no reason for The Undertaker to main event WrestleMania. He didn't work his ass off all year long to earn it. Now, unless it's a retirement, that's a different story. I had no problem with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker closing WrestleMania 26 because it was Shawn Michaels' retirement. But when you're going to have these guys come back and close out WrestleMania, to me, that just shows that the company has a complete lack of faith in their stars, and they have a complete lack of faith in the direction their company's going. That's why they keep going back to these guys. The Rock main evented WrestleMania 2 years in a row, and in that span, he had 3 matches. You don't see something wrong with that? Come on.
Well, I think they just go where the money is and follow the money trail. And who else could draw better than these guys?
Oh, listen, I'm not saying that they can't be used as that, but that's my problem, Frank. The Rock being put in the main event just because he's a draw, to me, ain't good enough. Because I'll put it to you this. I'll put it to you this way, and you tell me what you think. They made CM Punk the champion for 434 days. But while he was champion, a lot of other things were happening. The Shield debuted. Antonio Cesaro came up. Damian Sandow came up. Cody Rhodes started to get elevated. CM Punk's title reign, to me, I don't know where you saw it as, but to me it symbolized the change in the business from the normal, boring John Cena, you can't see me whole deal. The normal, bland, boring stuff that, let's be honest, adults couldn't stand. I mean, everyone says, oh, Cena gets 100% of the reaction, so that's why he's on top. To me, he gets booed in all the places that it matters, and that's no good for your top guy. But
I thought that title reign was like almost like a 2-in-1 because he passed the first half was him as a face, and then the second half was him as a heel. So I think that's the reason why it went on so long.
Well,
Otherwise, probably would have dropped it.
but the point I'm trying to make is that instead of using their new established stars, what did they do? They went backwards. They put the belt on Cena from The Rock. Now, to me, CM Punk's title reign, whoever beat him after having that 434-day reign should have ridden that wave until SummerSlam. The Rock had the belt for 2 months. He had 3 matches. He was gone. And
Yeah, but it's like I keep telling you, G, they're always 4 or 5 steps ahead of what we see on TV. They know what they're going to do 2, 3 months from now, you know. They know, like, in October or August, they knew The Rock was going to come back. You know, they already knew that CM Punk was going to drop into The Rock to make Cena and...
well, to me, The Rock versus John Cena 2 was just a safe bet for a main event. That's all it was. But they can't continue to safe bet every year. Eventually, they're gonna have to, because this is the way I look at it with Cena. I got no problem with the guy. I think he's a good person. I think he is truly dedicated. I'd much rather see him as the champion than The Rock or Brock Lesnar. The Rock because he's not full-time, and Brock because really, Brock don't give a shit about the business. He only cares about putting money in his pocket. So
Well, it's 2 ways too. You know, he does make money for the company.
no, of course, but Brock Lesnar. Let's be brutally honest here. Brock Lesnar only gives a shit about Brock Lesnar, and
But he does deliver at the same time. Just look at the match with him and Punk at.
yeah, but him and Punk had the best match of the year. Was that even considered for a match of the year candidate? No, they made.
A lot of people voted for that, and then I think he earns his paychecks.
No, that match wasn't even in the listings.
I know, but that was like rigged. But then
That one was definitely rigged in my opinion.
And
That
on the WWE.com page, they did come out with a different list.
Oh, I did see that list, and they did head it. That's why I was saying, you know something, there was, and as much as I love Daniel Bryan, as much as I love The Undertaker, Taker's match with Punk and Bryan's match with Cena was not on the same level as Brock versus Punk. That match was just of a completely different animal. It was a pro wrestling match. It wasn't a WWE style, matchup. It was a pro wrestling match, and I enjoyed it from start to finish.
Well, that's why a lot of fans liked it.
There you go. I mean, at the end of the day, Frank, they try to be a regular TV show, but they're a wrestling show, no matter how hard they try. And that's something I wanted to bring up as one of our pieces of our discussions. No matter how hard they try, they are a wrestling show, and they will always be a wrestling show. None of us are ever going to say, hey, sports entertainment's coming to Madison Square Garden, or, hey, did you get the new sports entertainment DVD that came out? Hey, sports entertainment's going to be on pay-per-view. It's professional wrestling.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. They try too hard to be regular TV. They're not the Honeymooners. They're not Seinfeld. They're not the Days of Our Lives. They're not Passions. They're not regular TV. To me, I honestly think that Vince is ashamed of what he does because they constantly push the word sports entertainment on there. Unfortunately.
Away from that old, but he like say old wrestling style, he's trying to. It's wrestling, but it has to be entertaining. If you just have,
of course, it's got to be entertaining because you got to sell tickets.
Put up 6 matches on TV where it's just wrestling.
No, of course, that's not going to sell a thing. There's got to be an entertainment aspect to it, and I got.
Times where they just go if you ever noticed previous years on Raw where they just have 2, 3 wrestling matches and everything is backstage segments and corny guest hosts.
Yeah, that was dumb. Even you got to admit, even from an entertaining aspect,
you gotta have a nice balance.
It has to exactly. You just hit the nail right on the head with that word balance, and there has to be a balance. To me, there shouldn't be more talking than there is action in the ring. When you got a roster filled with guys like Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, all 3 members of the Shield, the Wyatts. When you got guys like that, there should not be more talking than wrestling. I mean,
I think last week I posted that I started watching Impact.
Mm-hmm.
I posted on the page that I watched Impact, and it's horrible. The first 20 minutes of the show was just one big.
You want to know the last time I watched TNA? When Jeff Hardy showed up high. That was the last straw for me.
But I'm just saying, the show from the other day, from last week, Impact, they're doing things. It's like watching a wrestling show from '97. They start off with a 20-minute promo. It's boring, and they keep making people talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
TNA doesn't have good direction, and with Dixie Carter in charge, it's a sinking ship. I don't think they'll.
They don't have any balance.
No, they don't. They don't have any balance, but they also don't have any direction. They have no direction. They have no vision. And I think that if they could have got Paul Heyman in a few years ago, they'd be in a better situation. But unfortunately, they're not. You know, they're not.
Paul Heyman wants full control.
No.
And a lot of money.
Yeah, but you want to know something? I think that it would have been worth it. But anyways, Frank, I got to cut us off because we're going to be back with the next segment in about a minute, all right? We'll be right back, guys.